Okay, thanks so much for doing this. So in the little messaging that we did back and forth, you said that you want to work on something that you think prevents you from doing well in your business. So let me hear a little bit about that and what we're going to work on.
Okay, I love being in the marketplace that I'm in, working with people with grief and stress.
Yeah.
But my destination is really to be a speaker. I think that there's a broader picture here, and that I bring humor to an otherwise not so pleasant thing. People, when
Yeah.
they're dealing as a caregiver or with loss and grief, they don't find the humor.
Right.
But with that said, I don't like to fly. And so
Ooh.
I think the fact that I don't like to fly stays in the back of my mind and keeps me from stepping off that last platform, because I'm really afraid that someone at Whidbey Island or Walla Walla or Bangkok, Bangkok, Thailand would call me and say, "Oh my God, we'd love for you to come speak." And I would have to go, "No, that's too far to fly." I do fly. I have flown. I'm just not comfortable. And so I think that I'm using that as a stumbling block, not to manifest.
Got it. Yeah.
And
Okay. And
and then
so,
also
yeah.
I've had some issues over time with an irregular heartbeat.
Okay.
And so I have nothing wrong with my heart. We know that it's stress related. I have a doctor and all that. But with that said, add to that fear of that I could go into one of those attacks, and I'd be on the plane and I couldn't get off. So,
Yeah, yeah.
there's all that tied together. Mostly it's from the airplane though.
Okay. Great. Okay. Um, do you have any upcoming trips on a
No,
plane?
not planes right now. No.
Okay. And then if you were to, when was the last time you flew?
It's been a couple of years.
Okay. And where did you go?
I went to Texas.
Okay. And so the trip isn't that long.
No. And I made the plane reservation. I did everything. I traveled alone. I drove to the airport. I got on the plane. I flew to Texas. I did a 1-day seminar and flew back the next day. And there turned out to be nothing. And I sort of thought that would be a barrier for me, but it did.
So you just cut out a second. So you thought it would be a barrier for you? Is that what you said?
I thought it would break. I thought alone and making all the plans just for myself would break through that barrier for me, but it didn't. It
Okay.
didn't stop
Okay.
that kind of where it grabs you in the pit of your stomach.
Okay. So I have an event that I do annually, and it's called the Northwest Tappers Gathering, and I'm just going to invite you to present in that next March.
Okay.
And imagining that I invite you, hey, Renee, we'd really love to have you at the Northwest Tappers Gathering talking about grief and stress, and you're going to have to fly all the way to Seattle. Tell me what comes up right now.
Right now, I would say, gee, that's great. I'd love to do that. I would love to share that. And then in the back of my mind, I'm going, okay, it's only it's March, and you can worry about that in February. But in the back of my mind, I'm still thinking, boy, that's a long way to drive. I'd have to take 4 or 5 days, and it would be in March, and I could drive through bad weather. So I guess I'd have to get on a plane.
Okay. And is there any concern just thinking about that part? I'm going to have to get on a plane to go there.
Yeah, because that normally means that for 3 or 4 days before I leave, I won't sleep well. I will be anxious. I will dread. There's a side of me that knows this is inevitable and it needs to happen. But then there's that anxious side of me that goes, what if the plane crashes? You'll never come back. You'll never see your children, that sort of thing. It could be
Okay.
the end of everything for you.
Okay. So I want you to imagine that you know the date, it's in March, you decide you're going to fly here to Seattle, and you have booking the ticket. If you were to book the ticket right now and I asked you to do it this afternoon, you'd be fine?
Absolutely.
Okay. So imagine yourself a few days before.
Okay.
Let's say it's an event, it's on a Saturday, and you're going to come out likely a few days before.
Okay.
So I want you to just think about a few days before you're to fly here. What are you feeling and what are the thoughts?
I feel it. It's almost like butterflies, and it's in, sort of in my stomach and that solar plexus kind of area. And I'm like, okay, I can do this. And I do the self-talk. I know I can do this. I've been on a plane. I've landed. I take off. I land. It's all good. And you're just imagining this, is what I think. You're anticipating something that won't happen. But the other self-talk is going, well, you don't know. Maybe.
Okay. And how strong is that? Is the fear part or the butterflies part?
Probably about an 8.
Okay, so let's tap on this. All right, even though I feel butterflies in my stomach and solar plexus,
Even though I feel butterflies in my stomach and solar plexus,
just thinking a few days before the trip to Seattle,
just thinking a few days before the trip to Seattle,
I'll start this self-talk.
I'll start this self-talk.
I'll be telling myself I'm imagining all this.
I'll be telling myself I'm imagining all this.
And then there's another part of me that says, well, maybe something is going to happen.
And then there's another part of me that says, well, something maybe is going to happen.
And I deeply and completely accept myself.
And I deeply and completely accept myself.
Even though I feel butterflies in my stomach and solar plexus,
Even though I feel butterflies in my stomach and solar plexus,
just thinking a few days before my flight to Seattle,
just thinking a few days before my flight to Seattle,
I'll be having this self-talk.
I'll be having this self-talk.
You're imagining this.
You're imagining this.
You can do this.
You can do this.
And there's another part of me that says, well, maybe something will happen.
And there's another part of me that says, well, maybe something will happen.
And I deeply and completely accept myself.
And I deeply and completely accept myself.
Even though I feel butterflies in my stomach and solar plexus,
Even though I feel butterflies in my stomach and solar plexus,
just imagining a few days before the trip,
just imagining a few days before the trip,
I'll have this self-talk.
I'll have this self-talk.
I'll tell myself I'm imagining it.
Tell myself I'm imagining it.
And there's another part of me that'll say, oh, maybe.
And there's another part of me that'll say, oh, maybe.
I deeply and completely accept myself.
I deeply and completely accept myself.
Good. These butterflies in my stomach.
These butterflies in my stomach.
A part of me is saying, you're imagining this.
A part of me is saying, you're imagining this.
And another part is saying, oh, maybe.
Another part of me is saying, oh, maybe.
These butterflies in my stomach and solar plexus.
These butterflies in my stomach and solar plexus.
Part of me is saying, you're imagining this.
Part of me is saying, you're imagining this.
Another part of me is saying, oh, maybe.
Another part of me is saying, oh, maybe.
Feeling butterflies in my stomach and solar plexus.
Feeling butterflies in my stomach and solar plexus.
Part of me is thinking, I'm imagining this.
Part of me is thinking, I'm imagining this.
And there's another part of me that says, no, maybe something's going to happen.
And there's another part of me that's saying, no, maybe something's going to happen.
And if I ask you to repeat anything, Renee, that doesn't sound true, or you want to say in a different way, or something else shows up, please jump in, interrupt me, correct me, because the value of this is for me to use your words as much as I can.
Okay.
Okay. So thinking about that a few days before, thinking about it, what's the emotion and how are those butterflies?
It's calmer. It takes me out of that talk. Like I'm not quite over in that alternative talk.
Okay.
I'm a little more centered, I guess I would say. I'm a little more grounded.
Okay. And just imagining yourself like going to bed at night thinking, in 2 days I have this plane that I have to take. Is that still calm?
It's a little, when you think about it, yeah, it's a little bit, it comes back, but it doesn't come back with all that extra other person saying, oh, I don't have that.
So what's the emotion that's left right now?
The emotion that's left almost is a habit. It's almost like, this is what I always do. This is what I've always done. You've let this stand in your way. You need to put this down.
Okay. So there isn't anything negative about that?
No, that's very negative because it's that negative of, you have flown, you have gotten on an airplane, but why do you do this? What is it that makes you continue to go to this place? You get on an airplane with other people and they laugh and they cut up and you sit in your seat gripped for something horrible to happen through the whole flight. So why is it you go there and they go somewhere else?
Okay. So it's this, you're thinking about like let's say 2 days before the flight,
Right,
you're going to bed, and this thought comes up about why do you do this?
right.
And butterflies in your stomach and solar plexus?
The butterflies are really not there. They really kind of laid down a little bit, but it's still that, this is so silly. If I'd never been on an airplane, then maybe, but I mean, I've flown.
Okay. And 0 to 10 on what's coming up, just thinking about 2 days before.
It's still up. It's probably about a 7.
And can you tell me anything about the emotion behind why do I do this? It's a habit. It's so silly. Any emotion there?
The only thing that comes to my mind is that it's really fearful. There's no,
Right.
because you get there and I have to trust that that person in the front is going to take care of me.
Okay. And so we'll go there in a minute, but let's
Okay.
go with even though,
Even though
just thinking about going to sleep a couple nights before,
just thinking about going to sleep a couple of nights before,
I feel fearful.
I feel fearful.
And I say, "Oh, that's so silly.
And I say, oh, that's so silly.
Why do I do this?
Why do I do this?
It feels like a habit."
It feels like a habit.
I deeply and completely accept myself,
I deeply and completely accept myself.
even though it feels fearful.
Even though it feels fearful,
Going to bed a few nights before,
going to bed a few nights before,
and I have this habit,
and I have this habit.
and I say it's so silly.
And I say, it's so silly.
Why do I do this?
Why do I do this?
I deeply and completely accept myself,
I deeply and completely accept myself.
even though I feel fearful.
Even though I feel fearful
A few nights before,
a few nights before,
thinking, why do I do this?
thinking, why do I do this?
Thinking it's a habit.
Thinking it's a habit.
It's so silly.
It's so silly.
I deeply and completely accept myself.
I deeply and completely accept myself.
This fear,
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 this fear.
this fear.
Okay. Thinking about a few nights before. How's that?
Calmer.
Okay. 0 to 10 on the fear, a few nights before only.
Maybe down to a 5.
Okay. So what's left? Is it still fear? Is it still the habit thing? It's so silly. Why do I do this? Or are you jumping to the actual plane?
I think I just moved past that and I think I'm getting on the airplane.
Yeah, I thought so. Okay, so let's start there.
Okay.
You get to the airport, you check
Right.
in, you give them your
Right.
bags, all that stuff.
Right.
Thinking about that? Anything come up with that?
No, that one's easy.
Great. You start boarding. You get on the plane.
I want to get on the plane last.
Okay, so everybody's on. You get on last.
Right. I don't care. I only like an aisle seat. I don't want to look out the window, but there's never a window seat if you're last. So that's not an issue. But I want to get on the plane last. I smother. I get on
So
that plane and I can't get off. I can't get out.
so are you walking down the aisle of the plane, or are you in the
I'm in that little tube
in the tube?
going into the plane. And as I'm getting closer and closer, the dread gets bigger and bigger.
Okay, and just imagining that now, dread 0 to 10.
Oh, dread's about an 8, 9.
Where do you feel it?
Um, probably, probably like around my heart. It's like, oh, what's going to happen?
Okay. So
Okay.
even though I feel this dread,
Even though I feel this dread,
I'm starting to feel smothered,
I'm starting to feel smothered.
just walking in the tube,
Just walking in the tube,
I deeply and completely accept myself.
I deeply and completely accept myself.
Even though I feel smothered
Even though I feel smothered
and I feel this dread,
and I feel this dread,
I feel it in my heart.
I feel it in my heart.
I'm walking in the tube.
I'm walking in the tube.
I deeply and completely accept myself.
I deeply and completely accept myself.
Even though I'm walking in the tube,
Even though I'm walking in the tube,
I'm starting to feel smothered.
I'm starting to feel smothered.
I feel this dread in my heart.
I feel this dread in my heart.
I deeply and completely accept myself.
I deeply and completely accept myself.
Good. Feeling this dread in my heart.
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 So you're walking down the tube and you're the last one. Dread and smothered, 0 to 10.
The dread is lower. It's substantially lower because as we're going through that, I can feel it dropping. It's like my body just relaxes, lets that lay down.
Okay.
I don't know. Smothered maybe is still a 5 or a 6. And being not in control is very much.
Okay. And so we're still in the tube.
Right.
So that feeling of not in control, smothered, you say that's about a 7?
It's up there. It's bigger than a 5, but it's not quite an 8. So somewhere
Okay.
6 or 7, somewhere in there.
All right. And do you feel that in your heart or anywhere?
It's just kind of an all over. Kind of
Okay.
like, as I get closer and closer, I'm
Great.
stepping.
All right. Even though I feel it all over,
Even though I feel it all over,
as I get closer and closer,
as I get closer and closer,
I don't feel in control.
I don't feel in control.
I feel smothered in that tube.
I feel smothered in that tube.
I deeply and completely accept myself.
I deeply and completely accept myself.
Even though I feel, as I'm getting closer and closer in the tube,
Even though as I'm getting closer and closer in the tube,
I feel it all over.
I feel it all over.
I feel this not in control feeling,
I feel this not in control feeling.
feeling smothered.
Feeling smothered.
I deeply and completely accept myself.
I deeply and completely accept myself.
Even though I'm getting the tube, getting closer and closer to the plane,
Even though I'm in the tube getting closer and closer to the plane.
and I feel it all over.
And I feel it all over.
Not in control.
Not in control.
Smothered.
Smothered.
I deeply and completely accept myself.
I deeply and completely accept myself.
Good. I'm getting closer and closer to the plane,
I'm getting closer and closer to the plane.
and I'm feeling smothered.
And I'm feeling smothered.
Not in control.
Not in control.
I feel it all over.
I feel it all over.
I'm getting closer and closer in the tube,
I'm getting closer and closer in the tube.
feeling smothered.
Feeling smothered.
Not in control.
Not in control.
Getting closer and closer in the tube,
Getting closer and closer in the tube.
feeling smothered and not in control.
Feeling smothered and not in control. Takes it down.
Okay? And so just thinking, you're in the tube, you're getting closer and closer. What's left? What are you feeling?
It takes me back to how silly this is.
Okay. So,
Why is this a deal?
and we could tap on that, but I'm not going to. I'm going to keep you there in the tube.
No, that's fine.
Uh,
That's because you like me. You want to keep me in the tube.
yeah.
It
And
really,
so just thinking about that.
I can walk forward.
Yeah.
I can keep walking.
Yeah.
I'm good.
Okay. 0?
I'd say maybe really down, maybe a 2 or 3. Really down. I'm walking forward. I see the stewardess. We're at the door.
Okay. So let's just do this. You're still a 2 or 3,
With that.
but it's a 2 or 3.
It is.
To me, that means there's still something there.
Okay.
And so is it still not in control as you get to the door, smothered, or something else?
It's really probably not in control.
All right. Even though it's about a 2 or 3,
It's about a 2 or 3.
as I get to the door
As I get to the door
and the stewardess is there
and the stewardess is there
and I feel not in control,
And I feel not in control.
I deeply and completely accept myself.
I deeply and completely accept myself.
Even though I'm at the door,
Even though I'm at the door,
the stewardess is there,
the stewardess is there.
I'm still about a 2 or 3.
I'm still about a 2 or 3.
This feeling of not in control,
This feeling of not in control.
I deeply and completely accept myself.
I deeply and completely accept myself.
Even though I don't feel in control,
Even though I don't feel in control.
as I get to the door
As I get to the door
and I see the stewardess there,
and I see the stewardess there,
I deeply and completely accept myself.
I deeply and completely accept myself.
Not in control.
Not in control.
This not in control feeling.
This not in control feeling.
This not in control feeling.
Not in control feeling.
This 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 not in control feeling. I hear this like, what's to control? You're walking down a walkway.
Okay, that's good. So just thinking about that moment, you get there, you see the stewardess, just check in with yourself, your body. It's all good.
Yeah, it's like, okay, so you're walking down a walkway.
Okay. So then you go to your seat.
Okay. I'm good there. I've put my luggage up. I've made the commitment. I'm on the plane. I'm not going to run away. I put my bags up. I sit down. I put my seatbelt on.
Okay.
At that point, I'm like, I never take the seatbelt off again. I never get out of the seat. So I am like locked there.
Okay. All right. So thinking about that, you got your seatbelt on. Is it bringing up anything?
Oh, at that point, I'm like, I'm holding my breath.
Holding my breath.
I'm so out of control there that I just sit. And I'm just hoping, I know I'm already anticipating backing away from the gate, rolling down.
Okay, before we go further.
Okay.
Just getting in this locked in the seatbelt.
Okay.
0 to 10.
I'm at a 10.
Do you feel what starts happening?
Okay.
All right. Even though I'm holding my breath.
I'm holding my breath.
I'm out of control.
I'm out of control.
I'm locked in my seat.
I'm locked in my seat.
I deeply and completely accept myself.
I deeply and completely accept myself.
Even though I'm locked in my seat.
Even though I'm locked in my seat.
And I'm holding my breath.
And I'm holding my breath.
And I feel out of control.
And I feel out of control.
I deeply and completely accept myself.
I deeply and completely accept myself.
Even though I'm locked in my seat.
Even though I'm locked in my seat.
And I'm holding my breath.
And I'm holding my breath.
And I'm out of control.
And I'm out of control.
I deeply and completely accept myself.
I deeply and completely accept myself.
I'm holding my breath.
I'm holding my breath.
I'm locked in my seat.
I'm locked in my seat.
I'm holding my breath.
I'm holding my breath.
I'm locked in my seat.
I'm locked in my seat.
I'm out of control.
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 I'm locked in my seat.
I'm locked in my seat.
I'm holding my breath.
I'm holding my breath. That certainly brings it down. That brings it back down much more manageable.
0 to 10.
5, maybe a 6. Just sitting. I'm sitting there now. I'm not shot up through the ceiling.
Is it still holding your breath?
No, I'm just sitting there.
And is it still out of control?
No, it's not out of control. It's just we're anticipating, but I'm calmer.
Okay. So even though I'm locked in my seat,
I'm locked in my seat,
and I feel this feeling of anticipating,
I
deeply and completely accept myself.
I deeply and completely accept myself.
Even though I'm locked in my seat,
have
this feeling of anticipating,
I
deeply and completely accept myself.
I deeply and completely accept myself.
Even though I'm locked in my seat,
and
I have this feeling of anticipating,
I
deeply and completely accept myself. I'm locked in my seat, and I'm anticipating. I'm locked in my seat, and I'm anticipating. I'm locked in my seat,
I'm locked in my seat,
and I'm anticipating.
and I'm anticipating.
I'm locked in my seat,
I'm locked in my seat,
and I'm anticipating.
and I'm anticipating.
I'm locked in my seat and
I'm
feel
locked,
anticipating.
I'm locked in my seat, and I'm really anticipating. No, I'm just sitting there.
So, 0?
No, maybe a 2. I'm just sitting there. We're sitting there, the noise of the plane. I'm just sitting there.
Okay. So, you're listening to the noise of the plane,
Right?
and is that a 2?
That's probably, I'm not going anywhere with this. I'm calm and I'm just sitting there. So I'm
Okay.
just going to sit there.
But it's a 2.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm just sitting there.
All right. Even though I'm just sitting there,
Even though I'm just sitting there
and I hear the noise of the plane,
and I hear the noise of the plane
and it's still a 2,
and it's still a 2,
I'm anticipating.
I am anticipating.
If it changes and you want to say it some other way,
Okay.
I deeply, completely accept myself.
I deeply and completely accept myself.
Even though I'm just sitting there,
Even though I'm just sitting there
and I hear the noise of the plane,
and I hear the noise of the plane
and I'm anticipating,
and I'm anticipating.
I deeply, completely accept myself.
I deeply and completely accept myself.
Even though I'm just sitting there,
Even though I'm just sitting there
and I hear the noise of the plane,
and I hear the noise of the plane
and I'm anticipating,
and I'm anticipating.
I deeply and completely accept myself.
I deeply and completely accept myself.
I'm sitting there anticipating.
I'm sitting there anticipating.
I'm just sitting there anticipating.
I'm just sitting there anticipating.
I hear the noise of the plane,
I hear the noise of the plane,
sitting there anticipating.
sitting there anticipating.
Hearing the noise of the plane,
Hearing the noise of the plane,
sitting there anticipating.
sitting there anticipating.
Hearing the noise of the plane,
Hearing the noise of the plane,
sitting there anticipating.
sitting there anticipating.
Hearing the noise of the plane, anticipating.
Hearing the noise of the plane, anticipating. I think I can just sit there.
Okay. So what's the next thing that happens?
We start the routine. At that point, they would start the routine of the plane, where the plane would start to move, the doors would be locked.
Anything about that?
You know, after I'm on there and I'm seated, I don't know that it's as bad as the anticipation of getting there.
Uh-huh. Okay.
I think once I'm there and I've made the commitment that
Yeah.
I'm there, up to that point, I'm better.
Okay. So then they're doing the routine, they lock the doors, they start pulling away, and the plane starts moving. Anything with that?
Yes. At the point that we start, because I anticipate the takeoff.
Okay.
So when we start to move, it's like, okay, you're here now. You can't get off. You've made this commitment. You can't change your mind. Now you really have to be a big girl and do this.
And what's the emotion that's coming up for you as you're anticipating the takeoff?
I hate that.
And so it's hate?
Oh, it's fear. It brings me back to the fear.
Do you feel that anywhere in your body?
Probably everywhere.
Okay. Even though I feel this fear.
Even though I feel this fear.
Everywhere.
Everywhere.
I'm anticipating the takeoff.
I'm anticipating the takeoff.
And I can't get off.
And I can't get off.
I deeply and completely accept myself.
I deeply and completely accept myself.
Even though the plane is moving.
Even though the plane is moving.
And I'm anticipating the takeoff.
And I'm anticipating the takeoff.
And I feel this fear all over.
And I feel this fear all over.
I can't get off.
I can't get off.
I deeply and completely accept myself.
I deeply and completely accept myself.
Even though I feel this fear.
Even though I feel this fear.
Anticipating taking off.
Anticipating taking off.
The plane is moving.
The plane is moving.
I can't get off.
I can't get off.
I deeply and completely accept myself.
I deeply and completely accept myself.
Good. This fear all over.
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 Okay. Anticipating the takeoff. The plane is moving. Can't get off. 0 to 10.
It's still about a 6.
Okay. Still all over?
Um, Most of it affects me in my chest and my heart in that area.
Okay. So even though I feel this fear in my chest and heart,
Even though I feel this fear in my chest and heart,
anticipating taking off
anticipating taking off
because the plane is moving
because the plane is moving
and I can't get off.
and I can't get off.
I deeply and completely accept myself.
I deeply and completely accept myself.
Even though I feel it and feel this fear in my heart and chest,
Even though I feel this fear in my heart and chest,
anticipating taking off
anticipating taking off
because the plane is moving
because the plane is moving
and I can't get off.
and I can't get off.
I deeply and completely accept myself.
I deeply and completely accept myself.
Even though I feel this fear in my heart and chest,
Even though I feel this fear in my heart and chest,
anticipating taking off
anticipating taking off
because I can't get off.
because I can't get off.
The plane is moving.
The plane is moving.
I deeply and completely accept myself.
I deeply and completely accept myself.
Good. This fear in my heart and chest.
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 This fear in my heart and chest. That drops it. It's not gone, but that drops it.
Okay. 0 to 10.
3.
Still in your heart and chest?
You know, it really is in my mind. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah. So you don't feel it in your body?
No, it's more like it just floats around in my head.
Okay. So even though I still have some remaining fear,
I still have some remaining fear.
the plane is moving.
The plane is moving.
And I'm anticipating taking off.
And I'm anticipating taking off.
I can't get off.
I can't get off.
I deeply and completely accept myself.
I deeply and completely accept myself.
Even though I feel this remaining fear.
Even though I feel this remaining fear.
Because the plane is moving.
Because the plane is moving.
And I can't get off.
And I can't get off.
I deeply and completely accept myself.
I deeply and completely accept myself.
Even though the plane is moving.
Even though the plane is moving.
And I can't get off.
And I can't get off.
And I feel this remaining fear.
And I feel this remaining fear.
I deeply and completely accept myself.
I deeply and completely accept myself.
This remaining fear.
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 This remaining fear. I think that takes it down. Maybe it's not gone, but it doesn't make me anxious. It's maybe a 1.
And what do you think is still there about that? What's that 1?
Maybe just that I've not done it. You know
okay.
what I mean?
Yeah, totally.
Just, I've not been there to test it.
Okay,
so
great.
Like, yeah. It's,
okay.
It's like you're on the plane's taken off, you're good.
Okay.
Just sit there.
So now the plane has moved, it's on the runway, and it
Right.
starts to take off, goes faster and faster.
Right.
Are you okay?
When the plane, as we get to the runway, I'm good. I'm good. As we pull out, I'm good. When we get in line, I'm good. But when I hear him pull those engines and make that whine, I already start to, I should interject here that I grew up in a house where my father flew for 27 years.
Okay.
So I spent a lot of time listening to what they called hangar flying.
Okay.
And so he loved to fly. But they would talk about all the things that went wrong on the airplane.
Aha. Great.
And so I think that, and he would say, oh yeah, we used baling wire and paper clips and bubble gum and duct tape and, you know.
Let's just think about one of those times where
Okay.
what could he have said that you were listening to that. Um, and so just just make it up if you need to because he said
Okay.
it so much. So
Right.
you could have imagined him talking about that where? Where would you have been?
Oh, I would have probably been, I would have been maybe at home. There would have been a group of people. We would have been somewhere with a group where he
Okay.
would have been telling the story.
Okay. So he would have been at home. You would have been at home. There would have been a group of people.
Right.
And what are some of the things that you're picking out about what he's saying?
He just made light of it. It was just like, oh yeah, the engine went out, and we had to go down in the plane and take a wrench and knock it, kind of like you would say, oh, the refrigerator quit running. But
Okay.
for him, it was.
Yeah. And thinking about your father saying this in this scene, are you feeling anything?
I think I thought I couldn't believe it. As a child, you were like, oh my gosh, that was really serious.
And
And
are you feeling anything right now?
um, how silly it is, which brings me back to my original. It doesn't evoke the fear, but I think what it evokes in me is that it was haphazard. What if the people that are taking care of the plane that I'm on used baling wire and bubble gum? Even though I know that's not true as an adult, there's that childlike voice.
Okay. And that fear, 0 to 10.
It's about a 6. It's about a 6.
Okay. You,
Okay.
all right. So even though
Even though
I feel all of this fear,
I feel all of this fear,
I hear the pilot pulling the engine. Pulling the engine is what you
they're
said.
pulling back. They're pulling back
Pulling
for the
back.
thrust. Yeah, pulling back for the thrust of the engine.
Okay. He's pulling back for the thrust of the engine,
Right.
and I hear the whine,
And I hear the whine.
and I'm thinking maybe they use bubble gum and haywire.
Right. And maybe they use bubble gum and haywire or baling wire. Yes.
Uh-huh. And I deeply and completely accept myself.
And I deeply and completely accept myself.
Even though I hear the pilot pulling back
Even though I hear the pilot pulling back
for the thrust,
for the thrust,
I hear the engine whine,
I hear the engine whine.
and I'm thinking, what if they use baling wire and bubble gum?
What if they use baling wire and bubble gum?
And I feel this fear.
And I feel this fear.
I deeply and completely accept myself.
I deeply and completely accept myself.
Even though I think it's silly,
Even though I think it's silly,
but I still feel this fear.
but I still feel this fear.
I hear him pulling back on the thrust,
I hear him pulling back on the thrust,
and I hear the whine,
and I hear the whine.
and I'm thinking maybe they were fixing this plane with baling wire and bubble gum.
Maybe they were fixing this plane with baling wire and bubble gum.
And I feel this fear.
And I feel this fear.
I deeply and completely accept myself.
I deeply and completely accept myself.
Good. This fear.
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 This fear. It drops it. It drops it.
0 to 10.
3, 2.
Okay.
Somewhere in there.
All right. So even though I hear the pilot pulling back for the thrust,
Even though I hear the pilot pulling back from the thrust,
and I'm thinking, did they use baling wire and bubble gum?
and I'm thinking, did they use baling wire and bubble gum?
And I feel this fear
And I feel this fear
because maybe they did.
because maybe they did.
In 2017, that's what they use.
In in 2017, that's what they used.
I deeply and completely accept myself,
I deeply and completely accept myself,
even though I feel this fear.
even though I feel this fear.
Listening to the pilot pull back,
Listening to the pilot pull back,
hearing the whine of the engine.
hearing the whine of the engine.
What if they use baling wire and bubble gum?
What if they use baling wire and bubble gum?
I deeply and completely accept myself,
I deeply and completely accept myself,
even though
even though
I hear the pilot start pulling back for the thrust,
I hear the pilot start pulling back for the thrust,
and the engine is making that whine,
and the engine is making that whine,
and I feel this fear.
and I feel this fear.
What if they use baling wire and bubble gum?
What if they use baling wire and bubble gum?
I deeply and completely accept myself.
I deeply and completely accept myself.
This fear,
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 this fear.
this fear. That settles to about that. That takes me back to about a 1. That takes me that you don't know, but I don't feel it in my body anywhere. I don't. I'm like, okay.
Okay, so hearing the pullback of the thrust, getting ready for the thrust, you hear the whine of the engine, that's still a 1.
Yeah, we can do that.
Yeah, we can do
Yeah,
that.
we can do that.
Okay, and then what happens next?
After we get to a place where the plane levels off, I'm good. I'm in that part of the flight. As long as we're not in a storm or all of that. I don't like to get up. I try to stay in my seat. I try to stay with the seatbelt on, and I take a book. And as long as it's a smooth flight, I'm good.
Okay, so thinking about the rest of the trip, and what if you have to go to the bathroom?
I will get up. It's not wonderful, but I will. The embarrassment overrides any fear of getting out of the seat. So I will get up.
Okay. All right. So I want you to think about that. Nature calls and you need to go to the bathroom.
I will wait till I cannot wait any longer and I will
Okay.
get up.
And there's
But
no
I will
fear?
get up.
There's no fear with that?
No, I will get up and I'm always amazed that there's still a floor under me. You know, I
Okay.
have that sensation of I'm stepping off into air, but I walk to the bathroom. I do all the things you would do in a bathroom. I have, in a humorous manner, my little head says, what if the plane crashes and they find you in the bathroom?
So is
Because,
there so let's not glance over that. Is
okay,
there a fear about that?
there's not really a fear so much as I think about what that would look like on the front page as woman found in a bathroom, on the plane. Only person survived was wedged in the bathroom.
Okay.
But no, it's not really fearful there. It's just silliness.
Okay.
Okay, so
Okay.
no. But the plane stays level and we're good.
Okay.
We're good. I fly along really well.
All right. And then
Um, I'm good. Like I said, as long as there's no turbulence and no drops,
okay.
I'm okay.
Okay. And then landing is fine?
I'm so glad to be back down on the ground. I'm good.
Okay.
As long as
All right.
I've been in some of those where you circle and you do. I don't like doing that for an hour, and I don't like the part where they start into the landing and they have to come down and come down. I always feel like my stomach is coming up. I feel like I'm riding a ride at a circus.
Okay.
Or a fair, but I don't know that I'm as fearful as it's just it's an uncomfortable feeling.
Okay. All right. So I would say there's more to do about that. But I also want to take you back to the idea of what you said which was interesting about your father always talking about baling wire and bubble gum and using a wrench on stuff like that.
Right.
Did you ever hear any other negative stories about things that had happened?
Oh, he was in a plane that flew. They were flying into, and he flew. I should tell you, his flights were all on prop planes because it was cargo planes. He was in a plane that flew into Australia where they lost 3 of the 4 engines and had to jettison um, the the baggage that was on the plane out the back. They had to open it while they were in flight, like you would over an area, and dump it in the ocean.
Okay.
I should put that his stories were always like he loved it.
Okay. But hearing that story about that prop plane in Australia, are you still feeling anything about it? Just imagining listening to that?
I think as a child, I couldn't believe it happened. They brought out the RAF, and I said to him at the time, I said, why would they send out fighter jets? They can't put their wings and hold you up. And he goes, no, but if the plane goes down, we all have to go down with the plane and get into the raft because you can't parachute out.
Okay.
So, even that made sense, but I think it was just he flew for 27 years.
Okay.
So I think it was just a culmination of bits and pieces. I can't tell you that there was ever a specific.
Okay. So even as you're telling me this, it's all okay.
That part of it is probably okay.
Okay.
And he used to say to me, the people in the front of the plane go exactly where you go. Why would they want to go somewhere quicker? That's not good.
Okay. All right.
So it's that I can't get away. I have to trust that they got up that morning and they have the best of intentions, that the plane isn't. There's a whole series of why, and I
Yeah.
think because habitually I've done that, I just automatically, as we all do, go there.
Right. Right. So let's do a little bit of Matrix to try to get to maybe one of those stories where that little girl is frightened of what she's hearing, or, and wide-eyed, So I want you to tap on your finger points inside of hand, and I want you to just tune into anything that's left thinking about getting on a plane and coming here, for instance. Do you feel anything in your body just imagining being on a plane?
It takes you back to that trust. Can you trust somebody else to keep you safe?
Can I trust someone else to keep me safe?
Right.
And when you think about that, does that show up anywhere in your body?
That probably shows up, yeah, in your heart.
So I want you to make that stronger for just a minute as you tap on your finger points inside of hand. Can I trust that for someone else to keep me safe? And that's showing up in your heart. And as you tune into that energy in your heart, we're going to invite your body that holds a lot of wisdom and information to take us back to an event connected with you feeling that same way. Whether it has to do with flying or not, doesn't matter, whatever shows up is fine.
Okay, I don't know that I have a specific incident.
Mm-hmm. So just allow your body to send you back to where we need to go with this. As you tune into that energy in your heart, can I really trust that someone else is going to take care of me? And what's coming up?
My father was an alcoholic.
Okay.
So as a child, I was never safe. He
Okay.
didn't hit us or that sort of thing, but it was a very tumultuous
Yep.
situation.
So I would like for you to tune in and just allow one particular memory to show up that we need to work on.
Okay. I can do
Okay.
that.
And approximately how old is that, Renee?
Oh, she's little. She's maybe 3 or 4.
Okay. And then 3 or 4-year-old Renee, where do you see her?
She's in the bed.
In the bed? In her bed?
In her bed.
In her bedroom?
Yes.
Okay. And what's going on in the house?
Her mother and father are screaming at each other.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Let's go ahead and freeze mom and dad
Okay.
and anyone else who's in the house, and I want you to step into that bedroom as yourself today.
Okay.
And you're going to connect with that 3 or 4-year-old. Were you called Renee at that age?
I was.
Okay. Connect with that 3 or 4-year-old Renee and just notice if she knows who you are.
I don't know that she knows who I am, but she's looking at me very wide-eyed.
So silently or aloud, just make a connection with her and explain who you are. And that you're here to help her.
Okay.
And I want you to ask her what she's feeling hearing that fighting.
She's terrified.
All right. Let's take her hand and tap on the side of it. Even though you're feeling terrified,
Even though you're feeling terrified,
I'm here to help you through this.
I'm here to help you through this.
Right here in this moment,
Right here in this moment,
you're safe with me.
you're safe with me.
Even though you're feeling terrified,
Even though you're feeling terrified,
I'm here to help you through this.
I'm here to help you through this.
You're going to be okay.
You're going to be okay.
Even though you're feeling terrified,
Even though you're feeling terrified,
you're not alone.
you're not alone.
I'm here to help you.
I'm here to help you.
You're going to make it.
You're going to make it.
You're going to be okay.
You're going to be okay.
Tap on her points, feeling terrified,
Feeling terrified.
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 feeling terrified.
Feeling terrified.
Good. Go back to tapping on your finger points inside of hand and check on her and see how she's doing.
She's sitting in the bed,
Mm-hmm.
sitting up,
Mm-hmm.
and she's got her legs pulled up with her arms around them.
Okay.
And she's just looking.
Okay. Less terrified?
Very less terrified. She's sort of kind of with that kind of like, okay, I'm not sure
Okay.
what's going on here, but okay.
Okay. Okay. Is there anything else that she's feeling about this?
She does feel alone. She can't understand. She's a child. She can't understand. Why do they do this?
Oh, yeah. Is there any insight you want to give her? Like, what would you tell one of your grandchildren about all that?
I would tell her that it really has nothing to do with her, and she needs to not take on what is happening with them. That she will grow up, and that actually it will be an asset because it will teach her what to look for with other people.
Great. And the whole idea of can't trust other people to keep me safe, is that still there for her?
A little bit, but I would share with her that that won't matter.
Okay.
She'll be strong and she'll be able to do it.
Okay. And I want you to ask her what she needs now in this bedroom to help her feel more safe.
She needs the light on because the bedroom's dark. So
Great.
she needs the light turned on.
Great.
And she needs them, she needs her mother and father to realize that this isn't necessary.
Okay. So how would she like that to happen?
She can turn on the light. That's an easy one.
Okay.
She would like for them to hear her.
Oh, okay. All right. So let that happen where they hear her. And then what would she like to have happen?
A big hug. Everybody to hug and the night to be peaceful.
Okay. Have that happen.
Okay.
How's she doing?
She's good. That was good. They all have hugged and kissed and it stopped where she was.
Okay. And what is she doing now?
She's just sort of standing there with them.
Okay. Does anything else need to happen?
No, actually she's standing there in a little nightgown, just kind of everybody's just kind of hugging with each other, and it's a very warm feeling for her.
A warm feeling.
Yes.
Okay. Is that warm feeling anywhere in her body?
Kind of all over. It's a nice feeling of peace and being loved and being heard.
Is there a color with that?
Maybe a white.
Good. All right. Put one hand on top of the other in the center of your chest and bring in that white, warm feeling in through the top of your head. Feeling that peace. That girl's feeling loved and heard. And imagine all that rewiring all the neural pathways with this new information. Send that peace, nice, warm feeling down to all the cells of your body. Bring all of that into your heart center. Turn up that white, warm feeling of peace. And when it feels like it's ready, go ahead and exhale that out through your heart.
Okay.
All right. How are you feeling?
Really interesting. I would have never connected those two things.
Right. Yeah. All right. So close your eyes and check on that girl that we found in the bedroom. What do you notice?
She has a smile on her face.
Okay. Excellent. All right. And imagining going on a plane, coming to Seattle, imagining that it all goes pretty smoothly. It's just a routine plane ride. You're okay?
Actually, surprisingly, yes. It's like, okay, I'll give it a shot, you know.
Okay, okay, good. So there's always something to tap on um, that I call the fear of the fear, which is the fear that the fear is still there. And
Right.
that's something really to work on. And there might be some other aspects to this. It might still be connected to that theme that we touched on in childhood. It might just be, something else, but I think that it's a good place to stop.
I think that's really a lot.
Yeah, we did a lot. Yeah.
Thank you. We did a lot because I would have never made that connection
Okay.
that
Yeah.
those two went together because they're very separate in my analytical brain.
Sure. Yeah, that's the magic of like following the body and the energy and stuff started coming out. I mean, when you said can't trust other people, who knows what that's related to. So good
Right.
work. Good
Thank
work.
you. Thank you.
Thank
Good
you.
work from you. I appreciate that.